So, officially today, Bernie Sanders dropped out. I think a lot of us saw this coming. Um, and there's many in the Bernie campaign who are saying he dropped out because the primaries were going on like normal and they were forcing people to go out and vote, and he could not ask them to do that anymore. He couldn't ask them to risk their lives to put him in power. So he dropped out, knowing that his voters would still go out and vote for him. It's really sad when you think about it. The one guy who wants to protect his people is the guy that doesn't win. And it's probably the end of the Bernie Sanders presidential possibility. As he is 78, in 4 years he's going to be 82. And that is asking a bit much to have a 82-year-old president start his first term. So what's next? What do we need now as progressives? There's many ways to look at it. We could sulk, and many of us are, and probably outright should, because it's really sad to see somebody like Bernie Sanders, who had marched with Martin Luther King, had fought for us day and night for decades before a lot of people even knew who he was, but still fought for the common man. And in the epic style of, Joe DiMaggio playing his last game, he walks out and he quits. And it's pretty much over. Of course, he's going to go back to being a senator, and of course, we're going to support him as a senator, but we all know what the prize was, and he didn't get there. And ultimately, he didn't get there because, yeah, the delegate math is one, but two, I think he knew after Arizona, Illinois, and Florida went down that he couldn't have his people go vote. And he decided to withdraw instead of risk our health. It's incredibly admirable. So, I would advise everybody who is a progressive to get on board, and we take all that money that we were donating to Bernie, the $2, $3 a month, or maybe some of us were up to 27 a month. Some of us did 27 a month and then dropped 50 here and there. Um, to take that money and give it to another candidate that you believe in. There's a few right now that are very interesting and that can do a lot. One of them is Shahid Buttar in California. He's running up against Nancy Pelosi. Can you imagine if we had a progressive like Shahid Buttar knock out Nancy Pelosi? Yeah, it would be huge to win the presidency, without a doubt. But this would send shockwaves through the system. I know I personally started to donate to Shahid Buttar, and others actually, because even though Bernie is out, we have to carry on what he entrusted in us. The party that he led, let's be honest, most of us got on board because of Bernie. Most of us got on because of Occupy Wall Street, and we're sick of the bullshit. And we have to keep fighting, even though we're sad, even though there's a pandemic, and our hero has just kind of retired his jersey. We still have to pick up the mantle and run with it. Because there's other people who are out there fighting for the same things. And they need our support more than ever right now. Another one that I have believed in, and I have believed in, should have been a, how do I say this? He should have been a guy who was in contention for presidency. I would have loved to hear this man. And Richard Ojeda is his name. The guy, honestly, he kind of looks, I mean, he looks like a meathead. He looks like he's ex-military, and he looks every inch of it. But even though he looks like he's the kind of jock who shoved you in a locker as a kid, he's very, very progressive. He stood there with the teachers during the union strike. He made sure to help give kids meals while the schools were closed. He has been there for every step of the way for things like the Women's March and for almost all progressive movements that have happened. Richard Ojeda has been there. And he's a fighter. He, I believe, more than anyone, should actually be our leader right now. He's not as popular as a lot of them, but Richard Ojeda has that fire in his belly. That mad dog, angry pit bull that we need. We all love Bernie Sanders, and he was a hero to all of us. But Bernie never really had the teeth that were required for this. Richard Ojeda does. He's angry, vicious, and rightfully so. Because his anger is what we all have inside of us. The fuck the system mentality is that same energy he brings to every debate. No, he's running against Carol Miller a few years ago. He never said, Carol Miller's my friend. Trust me, you can look it up. And if you're kind of torn on your support for Richard Ojeda or haven't heard of him, I suggest you YouTube him and just look up some of the stuff. You will be you're going to be ready to go play a football game. Just hearing him speak. He fires you up, and he is a true progressive. Now, there's other options. We don't have to stay on that side of the party. And I would suggest that in this time you also think about that. Is it time for a party realignment? Time to go to the Green Party. There is a lot of people talking about the Green Party right now. And I believe most of what they say, and I'm on board with them, to be honest. I'm not against the Green Party, and I think Jill Stein is a very honest actor, and aside from just being credible, is also seems like a really good person, somebody who I could get behind. And then there's the other aspect. What about we have our own party? Let's say we start something different. What about we bring back a form of the People's Party? True populism. Not governed by a leader who's been in government for longer than a decade. I don't know. There's so many options right now. And I'll be honest, I really don't know. There's people that we have in the progressive side. People like Elizabeth Warren, who should probably be on the right wing as a progressive. When she is being Elizabeth Warren, the true Elizabeth Warren that we all came to love, the type that challenged Joe Biden on oversight, the Elizabeth Warren who really was concerned about corruption. She was fantastic. But she seemed to get caught up in the social justice, PC politics of the neoliberal democratic constraints and was turned into a Yaz queen and only focused on the genital region between her legs instead of the thoughts in her brain, which is why we got behind her. Where does she fall in? Would she do better in a different party? I think she would. I think she definitely would. Because remember, there again with Elizabeth Warren, she was really strong, and then she just she transformed almost overnight. And it was then that people from the Hillary camp, the Kamala Harris camp, all came swarming in to work with her. And that's when she changed. I think she needs to get away from him. Now, I'm not saying that she should go to become a Republican. No. I'm saying she needs to be in just a different party. A party where you don't have to play those kind of games to get any sort of power. I wouldn't doubt that she did, in fact, play some sort of game to get recognized more, to get more attention on CNN or MSNBC. I wouldn't doubt that Bernie Sanders' shucks, this is my buddy, we're good people kind of thing. His, well, Joe and I are best friends. Nancy Pelosi and I have tea every... That whole shtick, I'm guessing, was him playing the game too. Maybe we should have a different party. These people can say, no, Joe can go sit on a fist. He's destroying our country. He's making the rich richer and the poor poor. I don't care what happens to him. That's what we need. Anyway, I don't know. I'm really curious what your thoughts are, especially if you're a progressive or somebody who you consider yourself a progressive or an independent, a libertarian, in fact. Because look, hey, we're not even out of talk of working with libertarians. Like there's some work. We got to define. We've got to work on on this party and decide who falls into what section and where we're gonna go. I don't think that there's a lot of people who are gonna come out of this as Bernie Sanders supporters and progressives and still just blue, vote blue no matter who people. I don't think there's a lot of us who are going to stay as just your typical Democrat. Of course, we're still going to support people like Shahid Buttar and Richard Ojeda. Those are our people, and they're fighting within the rules that have been made up already. And maybe we try to make new rules. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm really, really curious what your thoughts are. One other side note, too. If you really want to push the Green Party agenda, remember this: if they get 5% of of votes in the presidential election, if their party nominee gets 5%, that's it, 5%, they get full federal funding, which means they could do a lot with that. And hey, look, I'm down for, hey, let's all go work in the Green Party and make that a more viable party. Whatever. I am really, really curious, though, to hear everyone's thoughts on this one. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. You have a great evening. Stay safe.